Ladies and sinners, welcome to another Tuesday evening edition of the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. It has been a while, folks. I'm very sorry. Football season ended up going really well towards the end for a bunch of young players. 2 straight wins, a couple wins on the lower level as well, beating some really good teams. So, guys, our football season ended up really well, and I'm pretty pleased that we have great kids. So, sorry that took away some of my attention. Family. Right now I have a family of my own that is due here really soon here, right? We're within the month, guys. Exactly. So December 19th is when we were told was the due date, but mama is big. So there's a good chance that baby's coming early. So within the month, yours truly is going to have a son here. So we're super excited. The Batman room is done. I told you guys I'd do a Batman room. I shared it with the IE Sports Radio family. They thought it was pretty sick. They were giving me thumbs up left and right. So a lot of things going on in the last 4 weeks, so I do apologize for my absence. Also, I'll say it like this, man. I'm man enough to admit it. I was having a hard time getting on here and talking about my Raiders. It's just another shit show after another shit show. It's what it is, man. I was just talking with Larry before getting on. There's a good chance that Antonio Pierce is one and done here. Really. Like, after all that boisterous and tenacity and everything like that won everybody over in the offseason, just like that, we see the same old Raiders shit, and it's like we're looking for a new coach soon. It's possible. So, yeah, we're going to talk about those options there. We're also going to talk about some scenarios that are looking, because we could be a top 3 draft pick at this point. I don't really see, when you look at our schedule, I don't really see the Raiders winning another game. I'm just being honest with you guys. Gardner Minshew is cheeks. We were so upset about Derek Carr that we shipped him off or cut him without any compensation. Guess what? The Saints aren't doing great, but he's having a pretty decent season. Something that would have saved us and probably kept Devontae Adams on the team. The lone bright spot on our team right now, 2 lone bright spots. Max Crosby and Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is going to be a legend, guys. If he stays healthy and the Raiders don't waste him, he's going to be a legend. So we're going to talk about that. Bishop Gorman has been on a roll. They have their state championship game coming up on the 26th. It's almost inevitable that they're going to win. They are the number 4 team in the nation right now. They're absolute beasts. Ever since their loss to Mater Day, it's just been a rolling thunder. I promise you. It's been crazy. We're going to cover that. We're also going to give a salute to John Jones tonight. Vegas native. Got to love John Jones, man. The GOAT. Bah. I'm just saying. You can't prove me wrong. I loved Anderson Silva. But 2 years ago, I got to watch John Jones return to the octagon and absolutely dominate at the heavyweight, so a different weight class, and he didn't look bad. So, going to give him a shout-out before we go into our Raiders this evening here on the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. We're going to give a quick shout-out to Planet Jerky and Seal the Deal Wax Seals, not to mention our platform, IE Sports Radio. When we get back here on the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, ladies and sinners. This is the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and I'm your host, Kayle Henderson. You guys can get at us on our Twitter forums, at SinCity_IESR, at Kayle_Henderson, where we talk all things Vegas sports. Speaking of Vegas sports, folks, real quick shout outs. One, to Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. The deal is still there, guys. Buy a bag of jerky. Go on your Instagram. Post a photo. Tag IE Sports Radio. Guess what? You're going to get a free bag of jerky. Take advantage of that free bag of jerky, guys. Are you against free jerky? I'm certainly not. I know Larry isn't. Larry's got 30-inch biceps. They're bigger than his head and his thighs because he skips leg day. Just kidding, man. He's just going, what? I'm just saying, man. Larry don't skip jerky. He'd never do that. He'd never skip jerky, not free jerky. And they got different flavors. You can mix and match. You can buy one and then get the other one free. Just giving you a heads up. Obviously, business, would say you're going to end up paying for the one that's a bit more expensive. But hey, just saying, take advantage of it. Seal the Deal Wax Seals, folks. Make sure you guys are taking a look at Seal the Deal Wax Seals on Facebook, Instagram, wedding invitations, baby showers, etc. Make sure you guys are checking that out. There's a lot of unique stamps that can be custom made by Cecilia B herself. And then a shout out to our platform, IE Sports Radio, for the last 10 years. Awesome shows, awesome people talking about sports. It's been authentic. It's turned into more of an international thing than anything else. Speaking of international, Yukio. When I say Yukio, man, I think of Rufio from yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I know Larry knows what I'm talking about. I think of Rufio from not Pan, Hook. One of the greatest movies ever made. Hook. But you got all this stuff, Rufio. That's what I'm thinking. Yukio. I'm just saying. That's what we get into it. Taryn, man, always good to see him. He's the best teammate there is. Good evening, Kayle. Have an awesome show. Yukio, good evening, Kayle. Have a great show. Thank you, Yukio, man. Blessings to you. You're awesome. I'm expecting another message because on the holidays, you were the best, dude. You were always reaching out and you're always wishing the IE Sports Radio family happy holidays. I really appreciate you for that. That's just who you are as a person. Larry's showing off the premium brisket beef jerky collection in the background, guys. Again, As you can see, this is a very popular jerky because we have some flavors that are sold out. Volcanic jalapeno. We've talked about that one a few times, guys. I said you would have to run your butt in a swamp in order to put out that fire. But still tastes amazing. Get after it. Buy a bag, post it on Instagram, tag Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky and IE Sports Radio, and you're going to receive a free bag of jerky. Check out Seal the Deal Wax Seals. As you can see, Instagram and Facebook. Custom made seals for people. Those are actually really beautiful. Larry should be proud. He's got a sugar mama. She's killing it. It would be my dream to be a stay-at-home dad. There's a poll question right now. Yes or no? Would you want to be a stay-at-home dad? I'm just saying, if your lady was making that kind of money, wouldn't you want to be a stay-at-home dad? I'd be playing video juegos all day long and hanging out with my kids and keeping the house clean. If that's all I had to do, like, it would be spotless. There'd be some Fabuloso just rubbing up and down the walls, making sure we have the most disinfected walls in the history of disinfected walls. And my kids would be clean. They'd be fed. There'd be nice meals. I love to cook anyway, so it kind of just fits. That's it. I call my wife sugar mama in training anyway, because she works for immigration services. She's an immigrations officer. She's probably got the safest job in the world now that Trump's in. Just saying. Apparently that's the main focus today's world. Speaking of Vegas sports, guys, weird segue. The AHL has a Nevada hockey team, the Henderson Silver Knights. What is with this Henderson Silver Knights? They're bad. I'm not going to lie to you guys. They're not doing very well. They're struggling about as much as the Las Vegas Raiders are right now. And that's saying something, guys. They're flirting with last place. Absolutely flirting with it. And you know what? I'm going to say this. I have a great amount of respect for these lower level hockey teams. These types of hockey teams are where Division I athletes essentially go. They form skills, especially after they're drafted by an NHL team. And they do what they can to just get onto the active roster in the NHL. Running these types of programs, these types of franchises, if you will, running these franchises is very difficult. It's not easy. You don't know where your finances are going to come sometimes, because sometimes you just don't sell tickets. Sometimes you just don't sell merch. So you're essentially hoping that a team like the Golden Knights, because this is technically a farm club, you are hoping that they're willing to pay the bills. It's sketchy. You have to be really creative when you're in this level of sports in the minor leagues. I dealt with that for a hockey team, a USHL hockey team, which is a developmental league. If you are drafted by a USHL team, you're essentially a Division I hockey player, right? You're probably going to Ohio or Michigan or something like that, because that's where a lot of those kids go in the USHL. And I was a business manager there. My job was to manage concessions, make sure we were maximizing profits there, selling a lot of concessions, the clothing shop, so a lot of merch. And on top of that, I had to help arrange, like events. So for example, you buy a ticket and you get basically a burger and a drink and a t-shirt for $16, which is nothing to go out and watch a sporting event anymore. $16 is nothing. So for that, you got a burger, a drink. So we had to organize all that. And that was really the only 3 sellouts that this small team had in almost a couple decades. It's just hard to manifest success when it comes to these lower level leagues. So I have a ton of respect for the people that work for the Silver Knights. I want to say that outright. I have to, because I know where they're coming from. I know what they've been through. It is just unfortunate that they're flirting with second to last in the AHL right now. Second to last. And unfortunately, it looks like they have quite a few games left here in November. So just going to suck even more. They have quite a few games. I mean, I want to say that they're at, I want to say they have about 60 games. Roughly 40 games. And they're struggling right now, guys. Absolutely struggling. As of right now, they are 4-9. 13 games played. There's about 40 more games left in the season. This could be a tough year. Very tough year. The other team that's having a tough year is the San Diego Gulls. You guys know I love the Golden Knights, man. I'm a big proponent of the Golden Knights, especially because they're Vegas. I'm going to start talking like Gruden here now that he's a Barstool Sports guy. Yeah. The San Diego Gulls, man. Larry's dying on the other side. The San Diego Gulls, man. The Anaheim Ducks minor league system, man. It's got to be cool. Cool. They're struggling too, guys. I used to be a huge Anaheim Ducks fan, especially when Ryan Getzloff and Corey Perry were there. Woo! So much fun. So much fun watching them play. The Gulls and the Silver Knights are struggling, man. You know who isn't struggling? The Las Vegas Golden Knights. The Las Vegas Golden Knights are absolutely killing it. They're third in the Western Conference. They're only trailing the top team Winnipeg Jets by a couple games, which is fine. That's something you can handle. They're at 24. Minnesota's at 25. Winnipeg secondly at 30, but they have played 2 more games. Golden Knights are absolutely rolling. They look really good. This happened last year, though, too. And what happened? Injuries. Just like from a few years ago when they won the Cup. The year before that, they were just riddled with injuries, and they had a really hard time making a deep run and just coexisting really as a team, especially when you have a lot of new bodies coming in and out. Let's hope they stay healthy this year. If they can stay healthy this year, you know Jack Eichel's going to do what he's got to do. Jack Eichel's a stud. He's an absolute stud. Jack Eichel right now is the team leader in points. He's not leading in goals. He's leading in assists. So your team is basically going to go through Eichel. Nothing wrong with that. Goal leader with 9 goals so far in the season. As of right now, his name is Pavel. I'm not even going to try his last name. Speedy left wing, someone they picked up in free agency. Well, they've actually more or less developed him over the years and traded for him. And he came up through the minor league system. So a success story, right? We got a young kid at 24 years old in his 3rd season is leading the team in goals with, the first part of the season. That's excellent. That's what you want to see from your team. So coming up from the Silver Knights, he's not playing too bad. So if they're really bad in the Silver Knights, but they come to the Golden Knights, they know they're probably going to start winning some games. 11-5-2, first in the Pacific Division. Again, guys, you just got to win the Pacific Division. Win the Pacific and get yourself home playoffs until you start facing those top teams. And you never know. The NHL is weird, man. The NHL's weird, man. Just saying, it's weird. Those top teams in those conferences, there's a good chance that they can get beat by those lower teams, man. So just keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that. As long as they stay in position, they're fine. The Pacific Division is a tough division, though. Really good teams. Very good teams. Got to give them a lot of love and respect. Larry B said, got that Frank Caliendo segment going. Dude, the John Gruden segment, Frank Caliendo, HBO, was some of the funniest shit you'd seen in a while. That Glennon, man. Got a huge neck like a giraffe, man. Like, just hilarious. John Gruden, University of Dayton. I fucking love football. I do this shit for free. Like, dude, that was one of the funniest segments ever. And you just see Gruden over there in the corner just smiling and laughing. Derek Carr is rolling like, should I laugh too much? Because, like, damn, he's my coach and he might run my ass or just ride me next practice. Like, dude, that was a hilarious segment. He also had one of the most epic intro speeches you'd ever seen in Hard Knocks. Straight up. I'm actually excited. I'm glad we're taking a chance to talk about this. John Gruden, in my opinion, was absolutely blackballed by the NFL. What happened with the Washington Post and all those other situations, I feel like John Gruden was absolutely blackballed. He should still be the coach of the Raiders. The Raiders were absolutely making progress under him and were getting better. I mean, the team was legitimately, I think they were 4-2 when he got fired. Or he resigned, I should say. He didn't get fired. He was just kind of, Mark Davis refused to fire him because he doesn't like the NFL and he hates Roger Goodell, and I don't blame him. We hate Mark Davis for being an absolute buffoon and hiring all these idiots that he hires. But John Gruden was absolutely blackballed. So shout out to John Gruden, because The FFCA is hilarious. The Fired Football Coaches Association, something he actually started. I thought that was a joke. It's legit, guys. It's a non-for-profit place where coaches can go, watch a bunch of film, collaborate, get better as coaches, and then get a second chance to go into coaching again. It's legit a marketing network. Larry B says the reason why Gruden was blackballed is because the Raiders were actually going to be good. Absolutely. Which doesn't make sense because when the Raiders are good, the NFL makes more money. But I'm telling you, Larry, they do not like John Gruden. I think John Gruden was very critical of a lot of teams during his time in Monday Night Football. He also had a weird track record of just being an absolute lunatic on the sidelines when he was an NFL coach prior. I just think they didn't like him. And he's vocally come out and said that Roger Goodell's an idiot on ESPN. Like, I can't tell you how many times. Then he gets the job back. I mean, they just didn't want him back, dude. Let's be honest. The NFL was trying to get rid of John Gruden. That's a fact. NFL was trying to get rid of John Gruden. They were somewhat successful. They were able to, as you guys know, that whole thing went to arbitration because he sued the NFL for wrongful firing. The NFL was somehow able to coerce a judge essentially to side with them, even though that the NFL or that the Supreme Court was siding with Gruden for months, for almost a year. All of a sudden, they were able to move to arbitration, which is what the NFL wants, because according to the NFL, the arbitrator or the lead arbitrator and the decision maker is Roger Goodell. So John Gruden just dismissed the case because he knew once it went to arbitration, he wasn't going to get anything out of it. And it would probably hurt him more than anything else because there are now rumors, and this is why I'm really happy for him. There are rumors he could be a coach again next year. Where is that, Larry B? Where do you think John Gruden's going to end up being the coach of? I have a few teams in my mind. I do. I'm also really excited to see John Gruden at Barstool Sports. I think Dave Portnoy has done an amazing job of building a platform at Barstool Sports. It's not like any other. They're no BS. Larry says the Titans. Woo, man. That's a good one, Larry. I like that. The Titans are a good one. They just signed a new coach this last offseason. But Bill Callahan is there as the offensive line coach. He's just there as the offensive line coach for his son, Brian. The names I was thinking of, and you tell me if I'm crazy or not. We're doing the John Gruden watch. We're launching that here in Las Vegas. Why? Because he was the former head coach. I have 5 teams in mind. In last place at number 5. Gruden watch. I see you, bro. On top of it, Gruden watch. I see the Raiders being number 5. Like if Mark Davis could pull it off, he'd bring him back. I really believe that. Number 4. He's looking for a second chance. And there is a team that is in desperate need of a Super Bowl caliber coach and one that is going to be able to really help Dak Prescott get better. I think Cowboys could be number 4 on that list. Do I think the Cowboys go Gruden's way? No. I think they have other plans in mind. I'm just letting you know I think John Gruden is a distinct possibility for the Dallas Cowboys. It'd be very interesting. Very interesting. The other one I was thinking of was the Giants, but I'm honestly, man, if they fire Daboll, I feel like that's Bill Belichick's job. With his history there, it would not be surprising if the New York Giants said, we're going to give Bill Belichick a shot to right the ship here. That would be crazy, by the way, seeing Bill back in a Giants uni. Absolutely crazy. So I'm going to leave the Giants off. That's a far-fetched opportunity, far-fetched possibility. So we have the Raiders, we have the Cowboys. Another team I think that will be hiring will be Miami. Say what you want. I don't know if Daniels has done a good enough job to keep the job. He's probably going to lose in the playoffs. So Mike McDaniel, I mean, it is what it is, man. He's not a bad dude. I love him. I love his personality. I just don't know if he's ready for this type of responsibility at this time. So to me, Miami could definitely be a spot. 100%. I'm trying to think of other teams that are really struggling right now that might be hiring a coach. The Jaguars could be. The Jaguars totally could be. They're probably an honorable mention at this point. Man, did the Raiders miss on Harbaugh, didn't they? Like absolutely screwed the pooch on him. Look at what he's doing with the Chargers already. You can't tell me that the Chargers roster is that much better than the Raiders. It's not. It's just coaching. Like they're doing such a great job, and you can tell the team loves Coach Harbaugh. So we just absolutely missed on that. That's just so frustrating. So frustrating. The top team I think John Gruden will be looking at going to two teams. So 1 and 2. 2, the Chicago Bears. I think the Chicago Bears will be hiring a new coach at the end of the year. I think they've given this guy a long leash. He's had his new coordinator. He got his new quarterback in. The quarterback is actually absolutely struggling. I feel like if there's a guy that could come in and help Caleb Williams kind of settle down and learn how to play within his system, it'd be John. It'd be Gruden, right? And I think young quarterbacks love John Gruden because of his old Gruden quarterback camp, which would be exciting to see him bring back at Barstool, by the way, because he's already brought back the Gruden Grinders, which I think is great. Lower level production than ESPN, but still really entertaining, especially when he goes in on those Barstool guys and their lack of athleticism. Number 1, the Saints. I think the Saints are absolutely low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit. Like, unless the Saints absolutely win out, which I don't see that happening because they have a pretty daunting schedule. But unless the Saints win out, there's a good possibility that the Saints hire John Gruden. Because if any team were really to give John Gruden a second chance, I feel like the Saints would be a team like that. Not just the Raiders, but the Saints. Imagine him back with Derek Carr. It may only be for 1 year because I'm sure John would be looking elsewhere. But imagine he's back with Derek Carr. That should be interesting. Gruden watch, man. I'm telling you. Former Las Vegas coach. A lot of turmoil. A lot of drama. You never know. You never know. We're going to go to a quick break here, guys. We're going to stop in and see our friends there at Palm Tree Sports and Philly Sports Talk here on the Sin City Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey, sports fans. Are you in the market for Florida sports or just keeping up with the latest in the Panhandle? Palm Tree Sports is a dedicated audio hub to all things sports in the Sunshine State. We cover current events, big news, heavily favored opinions all across the NFL, NBA, MLB, and so much more. So come check us out every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For a down south education on Florida sports and athletics, it's hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, and is powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Welcome back, folks. Quick shout out to our teammates, Corey Pujols and Cash and Chris there on the Palm Tree Sports Show and Philly Sports Talk shows. Palm Tree Sports airs on Sundays, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, while our boys in Philly, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. A couple shows before we air, for that matter. And they do a good job talking Philly. They should be riding high because Philly's actually doing some work. It must be nice to have a winning team, by the way. Don't know what that is. Don't know what that is. And I'm a Utah fan. Man, did they shit the brick this year. A lot of injuries. Ton of injuries to those Samoan guys, those Mormons. But it is what it is, you know. That's how football is. It's a physical sport. Not everybody can be healthy all year long. It's how it works. Shout out to Vegas resident, Vegas native, John Jones. John Jones, who is the greatest of all time, UFC 309, in my opinion, the greatest of all time, successfully defended his UFC heavyweight title for the second time. His now 20th title defense in UFC history, successful because he hasn't lost a match. By the way, for you guys out there, Jon Jones is like 23-0-1 as a UFC fighter. His one was a non-compete where he was disqualified, if you will, for using an elbow. That is now completely legal, by the way. It's almost like the Tuck rule situation. That's what it was. There was a stupid rule, and it was absolutely changed because it cost somebody something. I put that elbow rule in that category, essentially, for Jon Jones. Jon Jones is absolutely unstoppable. He's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. And I really defended his title successfully this past weekend on UFC 309 against Stipe Miocic, the greatest heavyweight we've seen in the last 10 years. Absolutely obliterated him. It wasn't even a competition. Spinning heel back kick to end in round 3, to end the fight in round 3. Jon's absolutely dominant. And on top of that, he followed it up by doing the Trump dance, which was absolutely polarizing on Twitter. That was just awkward, man. Jon Jones looks so different from his light heavyweight body to his now heavyweight body. Just looks so different. He looks more comfortable. The other thing you can say about Jon Jones is he looks fast compared to those other heavyweights, dude. Those heavyweights look like they're just walking around in concrete, wet concrete, right? Jon is just moving. So what's next for Jon Jones? If it were up to Dana White, Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones would be fighting. And it would probably be happening within the next year here, maybe next fall. Jon Jones is in the impression that if that's going to happen, the UFC is going to have to basically pay him FU money, is what he said. FU money. And I don't blame him. He's earned it. 20 title defenses. You're 23-0-1 as a fighter in the UFC. You don't owe the UFC anything. The UFC owes you. And if you're going to go up against a kid that is almost 10 years younger than you, by the way, 7 years younger, according to Jones, if you're going to go up a kid like that and defend your title, you better, whether you win or lose, you better win. And that's what Jon's asking for, and I think he's earned it. I honestly think if Dana White comes in and offers Jon Jones, like, kind of like that Jake Paul type money, $20 million just to show up and fight, an extra 5 to 10 to win, I'm sure Jon will sign the dotted line. And I think we'll see a really focused Jon Jones. But this Tom Aspinall guy, he's young and he's brutal. I think he's a bit cocky. I think he was being very gentlemanlike and polite when he was talking about Jon Jones. But Tom Aspinall was like, I didn't see anything that I couldn't exploit. And I'm sitting here like, dude, if I had $1 million for every time somebody said that about Jon Jones, Chael Sonnen said he beat the shit out of Jon Jones. What happened to Chael Sonnen? He was stopped. Rashad Evans, one of the best light heavyweights that we had seen in the UFC. Middleweights we had seen in the UFC couldn't touch Jon Jones. Lyoto Machida, no competition, in my opinion, no competition. Vitor Belfort was probably the only one that really gave Jon. I would say him and Alexander Gustafsson are the only two guys that he's fought in the last 10 years that have actually given Jon problems. And Jon came out and said the first fight against Gustafsson, where people think that he actually lost to Gustafsson, I don't agree with that. I think it was by a hair he won, but regardless, Jon had said, I didn't train very hard. I didn't do a very good job in that camp. He said it in a press conference. Gustafsson started running his mouth. Jon absolutely knocked him out in Jones Gustafsson too, right? Vitor Belfort, talking a lot of crap. I just love this. I love what Tom Aspinall's doing. Listen, Father Time eventually wins. We saw this years ago with Chris Weidman and Anderson Silva. Everyone was talking at that time. Anderson Silva was the greatest of all time. It was before Jon really took off. Jon was in his prime or really starting to take off, but we weren't talking about all his title defenses yet because it hadn't happened. Anderson Silva was the guy. He was the spider. He was the face of the UFC. He was the guy that was absolutely winning titles and doing stuff in unique fashion from a martial arts perspective. And what we saw was an older Anderson Silva go up against a younger Chris Weidman, and he lost. He actually broke his damn leg, which was really gross, by the way. That was so gross. That was the second fight, actually, because Anderson was winning that fight before he did that. He trained really hard. You could tell he was focused. He came back, and he was trying to win that fight. They were in round 3, and he was absolutely dominating Chris Weidman. Then he did a shin kick, and it absolutely just oof, so gross when I see leg injuries. The fight before that, Chris Weidman knocked out Anderson Silva. The first time we'd seen that happen. So I see a lot of parallels to that with the Aspinall Jones fight. And I think Jones is super smart and he understands that. So I think we're at the point where Jones is going to do the Floyd Mayweather treatment. Jones has earned it in his mind, so he's going to start picking his opponents. And if the UFC really wants to see Jones in the ring, they're going to have to pay an asinine amount to do it. Poll question, do you guys see a problem with that? I don't. I think he's earned it. I think he's absolutely earned it. If he was brand new, he was only a few fights in, I'd say shut the hell up and fight if you want to make money. At this point, he's not worried about money. He's worried about draw. He's worried about using those last fights to make the most money he's ever going to make, so that way he's set up for life. It's the Floyd Mayweather treatment, man. Find guys that you can beat up. It's that simple. Floyd Mayweather coined it, in my opinion. Now Jake Paul is absolutely running with it and getting contracts signed so he can't get knocked out and embarrassed on pay-per-view or Netflix. We're seeing this all over the place. In this case, I think John would do it in a classy way. He's going to pick the people that are going to help him make the most money and that he's going to be able to dominate. And I don't have a problem with it because I think he's earned it. If Aspinall was 15-0-1, it'd be different, but he's not. So is what it is, man. Shout out to John Jones, Vegas native. Quick shout out to Bishop Gorman. Again, we were going to touch base on them. They're 10-1 in the season. First overall in Nevada, for that matter. And number 4 team in the nation. They're the number 4 team in the nation. They absolutely kill it. The only team that they really lost to this season was Mater Dei. Mater Dei is the number 1 team. And if you talk to Larry B himself, who lives in the state of California, he knows that Mater Dei is absolutely dominant. Here's what we're looking at from the playoff perspective. They're so good they got a bye in high school. A bye. But then they turn around, they beat Liberty 49-3. And they're about to beat Arborview. And I'm saying this, it's going to be an elite. What a cool game, by the way, to play at. Allegiant Stadium. Imagine playing in Allegiant Stadium for the state championship. That's so epic. But Bishop Gorman, I just don't see them having issues with Arborview. I really don't. Because Bishop Gorman beat the dog shit out of Coronado. And Coronado put up somewhat of a fight with Arborview. That's just in my opinion. I could be wrong. We could see an upset, but Bishop Gorman, in my opinion, is absolutely going to run away with it. The unique thing about Bishop Gorman is they're sending a lot of guys to Division I schools right now. They're a feeder. They're absolutely killing it. And I will say this, UNLV is benefiting a lot from that. I know Nebraska's getting that big offensive tackle from Bishop Gorman. Nebraska needs all the offensive line help in the world. I can tell you because I live here. I see it on a weekly basis. That should be interesting. That should be really interesting to see. I just think Bishop Gorman does a great job of putting kids in college. And that's kind of the advantages of those private schools, man. You just see a better education. You see better teachers. You see better testing. More preparation for life outside of school, not just sports. But right now, Bishop Gorman is the it thing in Nevada. They're the it thing. They know how to get kids there to play really good sports for them. It's that simple. So shout out to Bishop Gorman. They're absolutely killing it. Got to give them love. I don't see why they wouldn't continue to be a top 5 team rolling forward. There's no way that we don't see that. And it'd be nice if we see them start knocking off some of these top 3 teams again in the nation, because that'd be super cool to follow. Really cool to follow. I was a big fan of what they were doing before Mater Dei. Mater Dei just was a really good team, guys. That was something that was put on Huddle. We could see the whole game live on Huddle. Mater Dei is just different. They're loaded. But I could tell you that Bishop Gorman would smoke like 99% of the teams in the nation right now. They're that good. Like Nebraska teams, the teams I coach against here in Nebraska wouldn't have a shot against Bishop Gorman. Not even close. So hats off to them. Really proud of them for their season and what they did. We're going to go to a quick break, guys. Give a shout out to Gloves Off and our New York State of Sports. And then we'll finish up with the Las Vegas Raiders and all of those lovely complaints that we have here on the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Rose Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
Welcome back, ladies and sinners, to the last part of the show. Big shout out to Gloves Off, or Marcus Lewis Great with Gloves Off. Sunday, his show airs Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then we also have our New York State of Sports by Ricky K. Monday. I love his little saying there. The city never sleeps with sports news that never sleeps. Are you kidding me? Bars. Just calling you out, Ricky. I heard you there. Shout out to Ricky from New York State of Sports for his drop. That was pretty epic. Big shout out to IE Sports Radio. Again, 10 years. Going strong, kicking ass, taking names. Shout out to Planet Jerky for their epic sponsorship, their deal. Again, guys, buy one. Go to Instagram, post it, tag IE Sports Radio and Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. You're going to see a lot of good things. And you're also going to get an extra bag for free. And then Cecilia B, Seal the Deal Wax Seals. Give them some love. UNLV, before we stop in with the Raiders. Honestly, UNLV's had a pretty damn good season. I can't be upset with that. The Boise State Broncos are just on another planet this year. And that's what they've had to run up against. Let's be honest. The Boise State Broncos, and I hope Ashton Jeanty wins the Heisman. I don't think he will. But what he's done is nothing short of amazing. So shout out to Ashton Jeanty and the Boise State Broncos. I think that's been absolutely phenomenal this year to watch. He's been phenomenal this year. UNLV is ranked 24. They're 8-2. With all the tumultuous behavior that's gone on this year, especially with that quarterback that transferred out, he was whining because he wasn't getting more money. He was obviously overinflating himself because they were 3-0 at the time. It is what it is. You guys can say what you want. Kind of holding the team ransom, trying to say that they won because of him. Then they bring in another quarterback, and they're still extremely relevant. They're 8-2. There's a good chance that they win their next two games. Finish the season 10-2 because they play San Jose State and Nevada. I'm not sleeping on San Jose State. I just don't think San Jose State is better than UNLV right now. So basically what I'm trying to say is there's a good chance UNLV finishes 10-2 and they have a really good shot to getting a decent bowl game, which would be a lot of fun to watch. The teams that I think UNLV is going to struggle against, again, we saw Boise State. That was rough. It kind of is what it is. Not much you can do. 29-24, though, is really, really good to watch. 29-27 against Hawaii. 41-20 against a really good San Diego State team that has a good coach in Sean Lewis. So I was pretty happy with that. I mean, a lot of things to look forward to, man. Other than Ashton Genty, I feel like they've had basically in the Kyle McCord situation against Syracuse. Again, 44-41 against Syracuse. So when you've lost against good teams, you've lost very close within a score. And that says a lot about your team. They fight. They're getting better. I think Barry Odom there's a chance that UNLV could lose Barry Odom at the end of the year because there's going to be some Division I teams or upper level Division I teams that are looking for coaches at the end of the year. And the way that UNLV is playing, the way they're farming guys out of Las Vegas, I don't know, man. He might be a name. I hope that doesn't happen because UNLV's on the rise. But dude, just being honest with you guys, man, I think UNLV's in a really good spot. I saw Larry B kind of sneak over to UNLV basketball, UNLV men's basketball before we got into that. You have to give me a second here. UNLV is always a pretty strong team, at least in the college basketball rankings. They recently revamped their basketball facilities, by the way. You can see that on YouTube. That's pretty sweet. They did that to be extremely smart, obviously, and get more kids out for their teams. That's what it is, man. Recruiting's just gotten so crazy anymore. I mean, what else can we say? If you want a really good player, you got to go out and pay for him now. That's the precedent we've set in college sports. It isn't good enough to just get a really good scholarship. You essentially need to buy players in order to win. How does Harvard and Princeton, all of them do that? I mean, they just get geniuses, right? They're not as athletic, but they're still really good athletes, but they're just super smart. Like, how do they do that? That'd be incredible to know. Right now, UNLV Rebels, the men's basketball team, is 2-1 to start out the season. 2-1, at home. So it's the very beginning of the season. You see all those powder puff at home games. Their only loss as of right now, the only loss was to Memphis. Memphis is going to probably be a pretty decent team. They did beat Nebraska Omaha 80-69, Alabama State 93-79. Pepperdine comes up here within the week, actually tomorrow evening at 9 p.m. against Pepperdine. Then we'll see New Mexico State. We'll start seeing a little bit of the, if you will, the Mountain West basketball gauntlet in New Mexico State. We'll see Mississippi State. Creighton should be an interesting one. That's a Nebraska team here in Omaha. Creighton is usually a pretty good basketball team. I don't know how they do it, but they do a really good job of fielding a basketball team or having a basketball team on the court on a consistent basis. There's a lot of really good competition for this UNLV team this year. Can they continue to keep what they're doing? Not sure, because they've had a lot of success in the past. We'll see how that turns out. But right now, you have a good start, 2-1. You want to keep that up, keep that moving. UNLV women's basketball. UNLV women's basketball had a hell of a season last year. They're trying to keep that going this year. As of right now, they're 3-1. Start the season. They actually have a game going on right now. They're playing the San Diego Toreros. I don't even know if I said that right. Sorry, guys. Toreros. Basically, the fourth quarter is about to end. 88-54. UNLV Rebels, or the Lady Rebels, are up right now. 88-54. Again, they're trying to keep their thing going. They had a really good year last year, like an excellent year last year. I want to say they went 30-3 last year. If I remember correctly, they went 30-3 last year. They made it to the big tournament, and they ended up losing. But they had a hell of a run, man. Like a hell of a run. Ended up losing to Creighton in the women's basketball championship, for example. So, NCAA championship first round, they ended up losing last year. This year, they're trying to keep things going. Again, starting out 3-1, now 4-1 after tonight's game. Lots to be excited about. I think UNLV women's basketball is on a run. So the wins have come against Point Loma, LMU, Northern Arizona. By the way, Northern Arizona is an interesting university, guys. If you get a chance, go to YouTube, check out Northern Arizona, especially the football stuff. Larry, they have a legit facility and stadium. They're the Axes, dude. They're epic. I mean, they have a sweet ass setup in think it's Flagstaff. Isn't that Northern Arizona's in Flagstaff? Gorgeous, gorgeous facility, guys. A lot of credit to them. UNLV lost to Arizona. Not surprising. Again, that's a Power 5 team, but UNLV is still a really good team. So they're still going to be able to compete with those types of teams. Stonehill, next is San Diego. They'll play the number 9 Oklahoma Sooners on November 22nd. So by the end of this week, we will see a top 10 matchup against the number 9, or a matchup with a top 10 opponent, number 9 Oklahoma Sooners here for the Lady Rebels. A lot of exciting stuff, especially for UNLV. UNLV's killing it. Their baseball team and softball teams are always really good. They kill it. And realistically, you think UNLV or Las Vegas would just be bigger when it comes to sports, period. Transitioning over to, I'm going to do this for you guys because it's been a while since we talked about them. We're just going to get the negatives out of the way, and then we're going to talk about the positives, okay? The Raiders absolutely suck. I'm just going to say what it is, man. The Raiders blow. They're not good. They're a 2-win team right now. They're nowhere near what we were hoping they would be. We were hoping they'd be around 500, if not over, based on the quarterback situation and the roster that we were trying to field. Luke Getsy was an absolute dud. That was a firing. The offensive coordinator, the quarterback's coach, all of those guys are gone. Sorry, offensive line coach, quarterback's coach, all of those guys are gone. We weren't even halfway through the season when this happened. So now we're at a point where we're debating, is Antonio Pierce gone after the season? Will Mark Davis look at this and be like, yes, you are a youthful and inexperienced coach, and I shouldn't have hired you? Because I'm not going to lie to you guys, I was talking about this with Larry. Looking over at Los Angeles, that rival team, the Chargers, the Bolts, and seeing the success they're already having with Jim Harbaugh, it makes you wonder, man, did Mark Davis try hard enough to get Jim Harbaugh in the building? Or was Jim Harbaugh just really sold on LA because of Justin Herbert? They could both be right. Like, honestly, if I were a head coach and I was looking for a job and that job popped open and you have a special talent with a big arm quarterback, like excellent athlete and Justin Herbert out there, are you telling me you wouldn't sign up for that? I think you would. So I get it. But I'm just saying, like, Mark Davis has made a lot of dumbass decisions in the 12 to 14 years that he's owned the team. And one of the biggest dumbass decisions I can tell you, one was Josh McDaniels. And two, it was not just going after Harbaugh, like just putting all your chips on the table. You were already willing to pay John Gruden $10 million a year for 10 years. You're telling me you're not going to go out and try and get Harbaugh for $15 million a year? And it's paying dividends, man. The Chargers are going to be competitors. You can say whatever you want. I think Chargers, maybe not this year, but next year, they're contenders. Seriously, a second year of Justin Herbert in that system with that defense getting better, because the one thing I can tell you about a Jim Harbaugh team is their defenses are always excellent, man. They have top 10 defenses. It doesn't matter if he's in college or when he was coaching the Niners. They had top 10 defenses every year, to go along with a really good run game, and now he has an elite quarterback. Yeah, I said elite. I think he's got elite tools. I think he's an elite guy. He just needed coaching. He didn't have it. Justin Herbert's a stud. So I'm looking at the Raiders situation. I'm saying we could have totally had Harbaugh. Would we have the quarterback situation? Absolutely not. Nope. We'd still be in a position to try and draft a guy because we didn't want to go all in for Jaden Daniels this year. So do I think Antonio Pierce is one and done? I'm kind of leaning towards yes, guys. Unless we see a run of wins, 4 or 5 wins to finish the season, go 7-9, which would be semi-respectable, 7-10. I just don't know if we're going to see Antonio Pierce back. I think we've just seen a lot of inexperience, and he's had a hard time handling personalities, Devontae Adams being one of them, by the way. It sucks being a Raiders fan in the sense that knowing that we've done nothing but waste players in their prime for 20 years. And Max Crosby is going to be the same way. By the time we have this team turned around and winning, Max Crosby will be leaving his prime because he's about 26, 27 now. In 2 years, he'll be 29. That's usually when you get out of that last year of the contract. and you start seeing pass rushers and really, really good players that have had a ton of snaps over the years. And I don't know if anybody's had more snaps than Max Crosby the last 4 years. Seriously. I don't know if anybody's played more defensive snaps than that dude. I think we're going to end up wasting his career in Las Vegas. He's going to be a stud. He's probably going to be a stat machine, but we're going to look back at this. He's going to be like the Joe Thomas of the Raiders. I hate to say that, guys. I'm just being real with you. Joe Thomas was an elite left tackle. He was on the shittiest team known to man for like 11 years. And he up and retired because he got tired of the punishment. He got tired of losing. And I can't blame him at all. But Joe Thomas was legit like one of the best left tackles we had ever seen. And he got a bunch of crap because everyone's like, oh, well, the team didn't win, so what does it matter? Dude, he was still like a top left tackle every year in the NFL. And he never won. Never won. But he was elite, man. Like he could be a Hall of Famer one day. He was that good. Like a consensus all-pro on a yearly basis, Joe Thomas was. For the Cleveland Browns at left tackle. I truly believe that Max Crosby, if the Raiders don't turn this around, will be in that category where Max Crosby will be one of the greatest Raiders we've ever seen, one of the best talents we've ever seen that never won. Guy was just constantly in a losing situation. And it starts with Mark Davis, man. Mark Davis is the one making the decisions. He owned up to it last offseason. I'm just being real with you guys, man. Mark Davis is a dumbass. That's kind of what we're looking at. Mark Davis is a kid with a bowl cut that inherited a football team and has no idea what to do with it. I genuinely think he wants to be successful as the Raiders owner. I do. I believe that. But he's a dumbass. He has no idea how to do it. I mean, I love John Gruden. I love that he's at Barstool Sports. I love that he was the Raiders head coach for a while. But that 10 years, $100 million contract was fucking stupid. Was it ahead of its time? Yes, because look at these contracts now. But it just reeked desperation after the Jack Del Rio situation. It really did. It just reeked desperation. So where do the Raiders go from here, man? If Antonio Pierce doesn't come back, where do they go from here? Here's the thing, guys. I think we're looking at a top 3 pick at this point because I don't know if we're going to win another game. There's a chance we're number 2. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if we're number 2 and the Jaguars are the only team in front of us. And the Jaguars are probably going to spend a draft pick on a defensive player or on like Travis Hunter or something like that because they already have a quarterback and what they believe is the quarterback of the future, Trevor Lawrence, because they can't just quit on him yet. And it's the Jaguars. They're going to make a dumbass move anyway. You have your pick of the litter at 2. So you kind of have an advantage because you went after a playmaker last year. You didn't overreach. You didn't trade up for Jaden Daniels and give away the farm. I kind of regret it in the sense because look at what Jaden Daniels is doing. He's playing amazing for the Washington Commanders. He's playing really well. You have your pick of the litter. So a couple scenarios come to mind. Ben Johnson is going to be the most sought-after coach we've probably ever seen in a long time. Like the way that things are going in Detroit, the way that people admire Dan Campbell, the way that they talk about Ben Johnson and the way he sets up play calls and puts players in position to succeed on a play-to-play basis, that guy is going to earn himself a shot to be the next head coach somewhere. What I hate is there's a good chance that the Raiders will get outbid for him. And I'm saying this to be as honest as possible. If the Cowboys really want that dude, they're going to get him. Straight up. If the Cowboys want anybody badly enough, they're going to get him because Jerry Jones is going to pay. The only problem is, will that coach want to go in and deal with Jerry Jones's bullshit? So he's kind of the wild card in this, guys, when this offseason takes place, because we know Mike McCarthy is not going to make it past this year. There's no possible way. I think the Dallas Cowboys have elite talent at some positions, and they're just way underperforming. They're getting out-coached on a weekly basis. So reality sets in. We're kind of hinging on what the Dallas Cowboys do. Because the Dallas Cowboys just go straight for Dion, which would be awesome. I think the Raiders have a chance for Ben Johnson. But there are a lot of people that are going to go after Ben Johnson. You know that contract that Mark Davis was not willing to pay for Jim Harbaugh, $15 million a year? I have a scary, sneaky suspicion that Ben Johnson's, it's going to take that kind of money in order to win his services. Because you're going to have 3 or 4 teams that are every year, and I'm saying this, like, even if you feel like your team is established, like Larry had a good point tonight, the Titans could be firing their coach at the end of the year because what we see on average is 7 to 8 teams firing their coaches. Did we see Pete Carroll parting ways last year? Not at all. I had no clue that Pete Carroll was going to be leaving. It was a surprise. We knew about Bill Belichick. We had a good feeling about him, right? So like there are coaches every single year that end up losing their job that you would not expect. Mike Vrabel. I did not think the Titans were going to fire Mike Vrabel. Was the writing on the wall? Yeah, because I think that the Ryan, I'm trying to remember his last name, the new GM there, I don't think they got along, and the GM before that shipped away all of Vrabel's players. So he basically took lemons and made beef stew on a regular basis, and nobody really noticed it. That's where we head into this, and I'm glad we're segueing. Ben Johnson is the number one choice for me right now. 100%. Ben Johnson is the number one choice for the Raiders if they decide to part ways with Antonio Pierce. I want a young coach, young offensive coach that is probably going to get a young rookie quarterback in the top 3 that he can mold for years to come. Because if he can do that with what he did with Jared Goff, say what you want, guys, but Jared Goff is a completely different player than what he was in LA. In LA, he was actually pretty good until the end of that whole LA run, and they traded for Matt Stafford and whatever, but he's had a great attitude, and Dan Campbell thinks the world of him. And look at how Jared Goff is playing. Jared Goff, if they don't get to the Super Bowl, it's not going to be his fault. I swear to you. Like, the Lions are great. They're a great team. And Ben Johnson has a lot to do with that. I get Dan Campbell's going to get all the credit, and he deserves it. Because that guy is a dude. I would run through a wall for him, and I don't even play for him. I'm just being real with you. That is a great coach in Dan Campbell. And Ben Johnson's done nothing but learn from that kind of guy. So I think Ben Johnson's my number one. My number 2 might be Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel. I would love to see Mike Vrabel. He would look great in the silver and black. And I can tell you right now, this defense, which is loaded with stars like Max Crosby and such, our defense would be absolutely crazy good with Mike Vrabel as the coach because the Titans defense was always prepared. They were coached well, and they were a top 10 defense on a yearly basis. And they didn't always have the best players. That's just my opinion. I think Mike Vrabel would be an excellent candidate because he's out there, he's waiting. The third would probably be bringing back John Gruden. I'd love to see that. Do I want to? Probably not. I want to see something new. But I wouldn't mind seeing Chucky back because I think we're on a roll. I really do. Even though him and Mayock absolutely screwed the pooch on draft picks over the years, I truly believe that John Gruden was on a tear before all those allegations came out, and it just threw a wrench into the system. So what's next after that? Here's the next category. What do the Raiders do? I think that they focus on getting their quarterback of the future. This year is very apparent that you can have Devontae Adams, you can have weapons, you can have a decent offensive line, you can have a decent defense, an excellent defense that's giving you chances. But if you don't have a guy that can manage the football game, you're going to lose football games, period. I think the Raiders have to go find their guy. They let Derek Carr go. I don't care if you think he was a mediocre quarterback. I don't care if you think he was fringe elite. The reality is, ever since Derek Carr left, we've had 6 different quarterbacks start, and not a single one of them was worth a shit. So you need to go out and get your franchise guy. I don't care if you're at 5. You need to trade up and get your dude. Figure it out. You have a really good football team, a foundation of players right now. Go get your dude. Go get your guy. Don't waste time. What I don't want to happen, and I'm not being a hater, there'd be a lot of cachet that comes with it, but what I don't want to happen is the Raiders draft Shedeur Sanders. That would be such a Raiders thing to do, man. It would. He would be a Raider, like, fit to a T. He's got the attitude. I think he's got that old Oakland-like attitude. Like, he's just going to have – it is what it is. But I think he just brings drama, and the guy just needs to shut the fuck up in the press conferences. Just stop talking, okay? Just go win games. Prove everybody wrong. How about you go beat a team with a winning record? Try it. Just try it. You know, you have an inflated 8-2 record right now, and you haven't beaten a single team with a winning record. You couldn't beat Nebraska, dude, early in the year. And Nebraska is cheese. They're cheeks. They're so bad. So don't talk. Don't talk. You have great talented players around you. I think Jimmy Horn Jr. is a stud. I think Travis Hunter's a stud. So you have really good talent to throw the ball to. And you're in a conference that is absolutely atrocious this year. The Big 12 couldn't be worse than what we expected. So that would be such a Raiders thing to do in draft Shedeur Sanders. If it were up to me, I'd go all in on Cam Ward. Cam Ward has a body of throwing the ball really well. Doesn't matter where he plays, where he went. It doesn't matter. He's going to throw the ball really well. I think the Raiders go after Cam Ward hard. And I hope they do it. And I hope all the attention's on Shedeur, because if the Raiders are at 3 and somebody jumps up and grabs Shedeur at 1 or 2, or the Cowboys do that just so they can bag Deion Sanders, I hope Cam Ward's sitting there, because I think while Shedeur is the most prepared right now, he's definitely been groomed by his dad. You can tell, and he'd probably be an excellent quarterback for the Raiders too if he can really just focus on football. I don't know if I want to risk the drama, dude. The Raiders have not had a normal offseason in like 20 years. There's always some sort of drama, dude. Always some sort of drama. If it isn't Devontae this year, this offseason, right? The year before, the BS with Josh McDaniels. We were already hearing the tumultuous behavior in the locker room with Josh McDaniels. Was it the year before that? Was that the Gruden situation? All that drama that happened? Come on, man. Let's just have a normal, quit being such a dysfunctional franchise. We're going to finish up the show here, guys. And as we're finishing up the show, I'll kind of talk to you through what my thought process is. I honestly think, and I've never been one to say this, but I think you tank. I hate to say that, dude, but I think you tank. I truly believe that Tom Telesco isn't the same GM that we've had over the years, and I think he's going to be able to find a guy. His decision to stay, and here's the positive. His decision to stay and take Bowers was genius. Straight genius. I love Brock Bowers. He's going to be an all-pro if we can get somebody that can throw the ball to him consistently and somebody who can set up getting him the ball consistently. It's that simple. He's a stud. Brock Bowers is nuts. He's just different. So there's a positive. I think Jackson Powers Johnson is going to be a definite positive. So there's a lot of positives on this team. We just have to accessorize them, man. You need the right guy to do it. So head coach wise, if it were me, if I was Mark Davis, I'd go all in on Ben Johnson. If you can't get Ben Johnson, I'm leaning towards Mike Vrabel. I want to see where he's at. Yes, I don't want to be Patriots West, but technically Mike Vrabel was very successful and he wasn't the quintessential Patriots guy, right? And then bringing back John Gruden, bringing back that Raiders cachet wouldn't be a terrible idea. As far as the draft is concerned, I have a feeling the Raiders go after Shedeur. I'm not going to lie to you. Something just tells me it's there. But Tom Telesco's a smart man. He might go after Cam Ward, which would be awesome. A lot of possibilities, guys. Look, I know I'm negative with the Raiders. I just want to be real. I love the team, but I'm just being honest with you guys. They've just been bad for 20 years. And I don't know if they're going to get much better. So, if it were me, I'd be having serious discussions of tanking. I'd have serious discussions as to whether you're bringing back Antonio Pierce or not. Don't be surprised if he's let go. Just like I told you guys, don't be surprised if Devontae's traded. I told you guys that at the beginning of the year. Do not be surprised if Devontae was traded. He was. It's that simple. We lost Jacobs. He wasn't coming back. I told you that Derek Carr was going to get cut. The writing was on the wall, guys. I'm giving you guys these tidbits. Not crazy. Just follow these things, and I lean towards what I think is right. This is the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Kayle Henderson. You guys can get at us on our Twitter forums, at SinCity_IESR, at Kayle_Henderson. We talk all things Vegas sports. We're going to get back on the regular here, guys. I have a baby coming here within the month, so just keeping you posted on that. I will do a better job of posting random stuff on our Twitter page because that kind of keeps you guys in the loop of what we're doing here. Appreciate the 105 of you guys that tuned in and talked or listened to the show. If you guys have feedback, send it to us. If you have things you want to talk about the Raiders, let me know. I will talk about it on the next show. As always, folks, we'll see you next Tuesday evening. Love, peace, and hair grease, folks.